They say the Pacific Ocean has a way of washing away your sins. Standing on the cliffs of Carmel by the sea, watching the waves crash against ancient rocks, I used to believe that. I used to believe in a lot of things: fidelity, partnership, the sanctity of vows spoken in front of God and family. My name is Gabriella Russo, 39 years old, second-generation Italian-American, and until 3 weeks ago, I thought I knew exactly who I was. Wife to Marco Russo for 13 years, mother to our 2 children, Lucia and Dante, dental hygienist at Monterey Bay Smiles, where I spent my days elbow-deep in other people's mouths, listening to their problems while they couldn't talk back. Before we go any further, would you take a moment to please subscribe to our channel? It doesn't cost you anything, and it really helps support the stories and channel. Much appreciated. Now, where was I? I was good at listening, good at reading between the lines, good at noticing the small details that others missed, the slight discoloration that meant a cavity was forming, the inflammation that signaled gum disease, the lie in someone's eyes when they swore they flossed daily. So how did I miss this? It was a Thursday afternoon. The marine layer had burned off early, leaving Carmel bathed in that golden California light that makes everything look like a postcard. I was driving our Lexus SUV, the one Marco insisted we needed for family adventures that never quite materialized, when I reached under the passenger seat for my sunglasses. My fingers brushed against plastic, a shopping bag that I had no idea where it came from. I pulled it out at the next stoplight, my heart already beginning its slow descent into my stomach. Agent Provocateur, the boutique on Ocean Avenue that I'd walked past 100 times, never daring to enter, because a single bra cost more than our monthly grocery budget. Inside the bag, black lace, silk, a bra and panty set that would barely cover a postage stamp. Size small. Size small wasn't my size. I wear a medium, on good days. The light turned green. Someone honked behind me. I didn't move. My mind was racing and I was in shock. My hands were shaking as I checked the receipt still tucked in the bag. $347. What? Charged to our American Express 2 days ago, the same day Marco told me he was working late on the Pebble Beach account. I pulled into the parking lot of Carmel Plaza and sat there, staring at the black lace like it was a snake that might strike. My mind performed the mental gymnastics that every betrayed wife knows intimately, the desperate search for alternative explanations. Maybe it's for me. Maybe he got the size wrong. Maybe it's for his sister's birthday. Maybe I'm losing my mind. That would be too simple. But I wasn't losing my mind. I was losing my marriage. I did what any self-respecting woman with a smartphone would do. I became a detective. First stop, our shared credit card account. I scrolled back through weeks of charges, seeing them now with new eyes. Dinners at restaurants we'd never been to together, a hotel in Big Sur, flowers from Carmel Flower Shop, flowers that had never arrived at our house. Charging these affairs to our joint account was a slap in the face, to say the least. Then I thought, well, I guess he's not the sharpest tool in the shed. My chest tightened. Each charge was a small betrayal, a tiny death of the life I thought we were living. Next, Marco's location history. We'd set up Find My Friends years ago when he went to a tech conference in San Jose, and I was paranoid about earthquakes. He'd never turned it off. I pulled up his timeline for the day he bought the lingerie. He wasn't at the office. He was at Equinox Monterey, the gym he joined 3 months ago, claiming he needed to get in shape before turning 45. I'd been so proud of him, so supportive. I'd rearranged my schedule to get the kids from school so he could have his gym time. What a fool I'd been. I kept scrolling through his location history, my coffee growing cold in the cup holder, my vision blurring with tears I refused to let fall. Patterns emerged like constellations in a dark sky. Every Tuesday and Thursday evening, Equinox, but also a residential address in Monterey I didn't recognize. Lunch hours spent at the Cypress Inn. Weekend mornings at Asilomar Beach when he'd told me he was playing golf. My husband had been living a double life, and I'd been too busy managing our actual life to notice. I opened Instagram next, my fingers moving with mechanical precision. Marco wasn't big on social media, or so I thought, but his likes told a different story. Her name was Sienna Castellano, 28 years old, personal trainer at Equinox. Her profile was a shrine to the fitness lifestyle. Green smoothies, sunrise yoga on the beach, motivational quotes about becoming your best self superimposed over photos of her impossibly toned body in sports bras and leggings. She was beautiful, objectively, undeniably beautiful, with olive skin, big dark brown eyes, and beautiful long dark hair, and the kind of body that came from genetics and 8 hours a day in the gym. I looked down at my own body, the soft, pudgy stomach that had carried 2 children, the stretch marks I'd earned, the breasts that had nursed babies and were now just there, functional, forgettable. No, I stopped that thought in its tracks. This wasn't about my body. This was about Marco's choices, his lies, his betrayal. I scrolled through Sienna's photos, each one a small knife to my heart. And then I found it, a group photo from an Equinox charity event 2 months ago. Marco was in the background, looking at Sienna with an expression I recognized because he used to look at me that way. He used to, anyway. I checked her tagged photos, her followers, her following, and there it was, the connection I'd been looking for. Sienna was friends with Marco's cousin, Francesca. Francesca, who'd been telling Marco he should take better care of himself and rediscover his vitality. Apparently, vitality had a name, a perfect body, and wore size-small lingerie. I kept digging, my detective work fueled by rage and cold espresso. Sienna's most recent post stopped me cold. A photo of Christmas lights and a beautifully set table, tagged at a location in Salinas. The caption read, "Nothing like Nana's cooking for the holidays. Family, faith, and gratitude. #blessed, #Italian Christmas." I clicked on the location tag. It led me to her grandmother's profile. Rosa Castellano, 72, volunteer at the Sacred Heart Church, famous for her panettone and her strong opinions about proper behavior. An idea began to form. Terrible, perfect, absolutely insane. I was going to return the lingerie. In person, at Christmas dinner. For 5 days, I planned. I went to work, cleaned teeth, smiled at patients, picked up the kids from school, made dinner, did laundry. I was a ghost haunting my own life, going through the motions while my mind spun with logistics and revenge. Marco noticed nothing. He came home from his workouts with that post-gym glow, kissed me on the cheek with lips that had probably kissed her, and asked what was for dinner, like he was still the man I'd married. Are you kidding me? Make your own, I thought. I wanted to scream. I wanted to throw things. I wanted to collapse on the floor and sob until I had no tears left. Instead, I smiled. I planned. I prepared. I bought a beautiful gift box from the paper store on Dolores Street, cream-colored with a burgundy ribbon. I folded the black lingerie carefully, the way my mother had taught me to fold delicate things. I wrote a card in my neatest handwriting. Sienna, you left this in my husband's car. Thought you might want it back. Best wishes, Gabriella Russo, Marco's wife of 13 years. I had my hair done at the salon on San Carlos. Highlights, a trim, the works. I bought a new dress, deep emerald green that made my eyes look fierce. I did my makeup the way I used to before kids, before marriage, before I forgot that I was a woman and not just a wife and mother. On Christmas Eve, I dropped Lucia and Dante at my parents' house in Seaside. My mother took one look at me and knew something was happening. Gabriella Maria, she said in Italian, using my full name the way she did when she sensed trouble. Where are you going? What are you doing? Taking out the trash, Mama, I replied, kissing her cheek. I'll explain later. The drive to Salinas took 30 minutes. 30 minutes of my heart pounding so hard I thought it might break through my ribs. 30 minutes of second guessing, of wondering if I was making a terrible mistake. But then I remembered. Marco made the mistake. I was just delivering the consequences. The Castellano house was exactly what I expected. A well-maintained ranch-style home with Christmas lights outlining every window, a nativity scene in the front yard, and cars lining the street. Through the large front window, I could see the family gathered around a dining table laden with food. I parked, picked up my gift box, and walked to the front door in my new heels, feeling like a soldier going into battle. I rang the doorbell. An older woman answered, Rosa Castellano herself, wearing an apron embroidered with holly and berries, her silver hair perfectly styled, her smile warm and welcoming. Buonasera, she greeted me. Can I help you? Good evening, Mrs. Castellano, I said, my voice steady despite the earthquake happening inside my chest. I'm Gabriella Russo. I'm so sorry to interrupt your Christmas Eve, but Sienna left something important in my husband Marco's car, and I wanted to return it personally. I watched her face carefully, the slight confusion, the processing. the moment she registered my husband Marco. "Oh," she said, her smile faltering. "Please, come in, Sienna is in the other room." I stepped into a home that smelled of garlic, tomato sauce, and generations of family tradition. The living room opened to the dining area, where at least 15 people were gathered. Grandparents, parents, children, cousins. A perfect Italian-American Christmas. And there she was, Sienna Castellano, even more beautiful in person, wearing a cream sweater that probably cost more than my car payment, her dark hair cascading over her shoulders. She saw me. Our eyes met. And I watched the color drain from her face. "I'm sorry, what was your name?" Rosa asked, her hostess instincts fighting with her growing confusion. "Gabriella Russo," I repeated, louder this time. "Marco Russo's wife. We've been married for 13 years. We have 2 children. Lucia is 11 and Dante is 8. The room fell silent. Every conversation stopped mid-sentence. Every fork paused mid-air. An older man, Sienna's grandfather, I assumed, stood up from the head of the table. "Is everything all right?" "Everything is perfect," I said, my voice carrying across the room with a clarity I didn't know I possessed. "I just wanted to return something Sienna accidentally left behind." I walked forward and placed the cream box with its burgundy ribbon on the table, right next to a platter of homemade ravioli. "It's from Agent Provocateur," I added helpfully. $347. My husband charged it to our family credit card, the one we use for our children's expenses. Dante needs new asthma medication next month, so every penny counts. Rosa's hand flew to her mouth. "Oh my lord, what is happening?" "Go ahead," I said to Sienna, who looked like she might faint. "Open it. I think you'll want to make sure everything's there." "Sienna Maria Castellano," her grandfather's voice boomed. "What is this woman talking about?" Sienna's mother, a woman in her 50s with the same dark eyes as her daughter, reached for the box with trembling hands. She untied the ribbon, lifted the lid, and stared at the contents. The black lace looked even more scandalous against the cream tissue paper. "Oh my God," Sienna's mother whispered. "Oh my God, Sienna, no." A younger woman, Sienna's sister, based on the resemblance, pulled her 2 small children closer, as if the lingerie might contaminate them with its immorality. "Mrs. Russo," Rosa said, her voice shaking, "I don't understand. Are you saying that your husband and my granddaughter—" "I'm saying that for the past 3 months, while my husband told me he was working late and going to the gym, he was actually with Sienna. I'm saying he bought her expensive lingerie with our family money. I'm saying that your granddaughter has been sleeping with a married man who has 2 children." I turned to Sienna, who had tears streaming down her face. "Did he tell you about us? About Lucia and Dante? Or did he conveniently forget to mention that part during your training sessions?" I didn't." Sienna's voice was barely a whisper. "You didn't what?" her grandfather demanded. "You didn't know he was married? You didn't think to ask?" "No, please. In my house," Rosa's voice cracked. "On Christmas Eve. You bring this shame into our home?" Sienna's father, who had been silent until now, stood up slowly. His face was red, his jaw clenched. "Sienna, is this true?" The silence that followed was answer enough. "I think I should go," I said, my mission accomplished. "I'm sorry to ruin your Christmas Eve, but I thought you should know what kind of person you're celebrating with." I turned to leave, but Rosa's voice stopped me. "Mrs. Russo, Gabriella." She walked toward me, her eyes filled with tears. "I am so deeply sorry. This is not how we raised her. This is not who we are." "I know," I said softly. "I can see that. That's why I came here, because I knew you'd care, because I knew this would matter to you." As I walked back to my car, I could hear the explosion of Italian voices behind me. Angry, ashamed, devastated. I could hear Sienna sobbing. I could hear her grandfather's voice thundering about respect and morality and family honor. I got in my Lexus, started the engine, and drove away. And for the first time in 5 days, I smiled. My phone started ringing before I even reached Highway 1. Marco. Calling, texting, calling again. I let it ring. By the time I pulled into my parents' driveway, I had 17 missed calls and 23 text messages. I turned off my phone and went inside to have Christmas Eve dinner with my children and my parents, who asked no questions and simply held space for whatever I needed. The next morning, Christmas Day, I turned my phone back on. 42 missed calls, 67 text messages. I made espresso, sat at my parents' kitchen table, and finally listened to Marco's voicemails. The first few were angry, panicked. How could you? What were you thinking? You've ruined everything. Then they shifted to desperate. Please call me back. We need to talk. I can explain. The final one, left at 3:47 a.m., was different. Gabby, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I don't know what I was thinking. Please let me explain. I deleted them all. I called my lawyer instead, Teresa Moretti, a patient of mine who happened to be the most ruthless divorce attorney in Monterey County. Merry Christmas, Gabriella, she answered. I heard about last night. The Castellano family goes to my church. You're already a legend. I need to file for divorce, I said. Today. I'll have the papers ready by tomorrow, she replied. And Gabriella, you're going to be just fine. 6 months later, I'm standing on the same cliffs in Carmel where this story began. But everything is different. The divorce is final. The house is mine. The kids are adjusting, resilient in the way children are when they finally see their mother happy instead of pretending. Marco has an apartment in Monterey and a custody schedule he follows with the enthusiasm of a man serving community service. Sienna, I heard through the Carmel Gossip Network, moved to Los Angeles. Her family hasn't spoken to her since Christmas Eve. Poor thing, I said with a sneer. I don't feel guilty about that. I didn't destroy her life. She made her choices. I just made sure those choices had consequences. As for me, I got promoted to office manager at the dental clinic. I started taking photography classes. I joined a hiking group that meets every Saturday morning. I reconnected with old friends and made new ones. Life had a new beginning, and it was grand. Last week, I went on my first date since the divorce, a marine biologist named Alessandro who made me laugh and didn't once mention his ex-wife. During one of our conversations, I asked him if he worked out and went to a gym. He said he worked out at home and didn't belong to a gym. I whispered to myself, thank God. I don't know if it will go anywhere, but I know this. I'm not the same woman who found that lingerie 6 months ago. I'm stronger, fiercer, more myself than I've been in years. The Pacific Ocean still crashes against the rocks below, washing away sins and secrets and the remnants of a life that no longer fits. And I'm finally free. Please take a moment to like, share, and subscribe for more powerful stories about taking back your power and rewriting your own ending. If you have a story, please leave it in the comments. And here's another video suggestion.